Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome back to another night's show. After last night's little show I had going yesterday, it turned out to be pretty good. Enjoyed having Zach on my show. That was awesome. That was great. I loved it. And I always love having Jerry with me. I really do. Jerry's a very intelligent man. I like Jerry a lot. And I have Warren here with me again tonight. Tonight's dating scene topics. And so for anybody out there that might be coming in late or whatever, tonight is dating scene topics, TFL topics. So I mean, we'll get off and on whatever we talk about. But with that being said, welcome to the show, Warren.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I was just looking over the stuff that's going on around our freaking world and realize the division and how great the division is amongst the people. And you see how everybody's so divided. And some of the stuff that we talked about even last night was ways of changing things. Getting people to stand up.
It's more divided than just, genders and religions and races and all that stuff, man. It's down to the family, man. There is no longer is a family anymore. I mean, nobody gives a fuck about anybody but themselves. So how can you have a family when everybody's so socially disconnected and nobody, people are being trained to be automatons. It's weird. In a sense, as they lose their ability to connect to other people, they're also losing their individuality at the same time.
Well, they are. Well, they don't realize that, You can't get, a lot of people don't even realize how deep the division is. The family unit's pretty much destroyed and gone. Okay, and the children ain't got a future to look forward to. And you can't get that through people's heads. They think their children have a future. Well, their children don't have a future. When you claim you're here to protect your children's your next, the next generation.
But their future is, Bill? Their future is constant strife and conflict and potential civil war.
Well, their future is going to be a lot more than constant strife and civil war. Their future is going to be a whole lot of very bad repeating of history. Did you realize that right now, you heard about the cities in China, that they built a couple of cities, complete cities with nobody living in them? Well, did you realize that they're on the side of China that has no people? Did you realize that Russia also has a couple of cities not far from them cities that with nobody in them? Did you realize they're actually...
Yeah, they mean not Atlanta, they bought it up here in the States?
Nah, there's
Where's
no...
Atlanta again? You talking about they bought...
Russia.
Yeah, Russia bought... Yeah, they bought Atlanta.
No. Okay, did you heard about...
where at?
China? Okay, let me start all over, because obviously he wasn't listening. In China, they have built a couple of cities. I mean complete cities that nobody lives in.
Yeah.
Okay, not far from them cities across the border there. In Russia, we got the same thing. They're literally building cities over in that area of the world that nobody's populating right now. And so, there's going to be a little bit more research that's going to have to go into this, but we need to figure out why they would be building cities, complete cities, and keeping the maintenance up on them with nobody living in them. This means there's going to be a mass exodus where people are going to be relocated.
Well, here's a theory, Bill. I've heard of this before. The elites, the Western elites, are having towns erected over in China, for Western sensibilities for the elites, where they'll go when shit goes down. I've heard about this before. Alan Watt used to talk about this.
Well, I'll tell you what, Warren. This is not just a town. This is a big city, and there's more than one of them. Okay, And you not just in China, but now you have the same thing going on in Russia. And they're not that far apart from each other. That tells you there's going to be a mass exodus. Now, if you think about it, this very situation happened after World War II. And I wouldn't be surprised if even after World War I. Where people think Hitler died, Hitler didn't die. He was relocated.
Yeah.
So that's something you want to
I
think
mean, nobody
about.
really knows for sure what happened to Hitler. I mean, I don't think he died because the body was never uncovered.
Well, there
But
are
the
some
government
theories.
probably knows, but they're not sharing that.
Well, yes,
So we don't.
yes, they did share it. Yes, they did share it,
Where?
William. When they released the JFK files. They didn't release them all, but they released the information, and that should have outraged people, but people turned their back to it. Yes, they did release it. And Hitler was alive.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Hitler never died. Hitler was relocated.
Yeah, because you think about, man, if he wears some sunglasses, right, and like shaves off his mustache, grows a different, grows like a beard or something, right, and changes his hair up, nobody would recognize him.
And if they all think they're dead, that he's dead, they're not going to look for him anyhow.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's no different than when they pulled the Sandy Hook BS. All they did was show the public pictures of children that was 6 and 7 years old. So people thought them were current pictures of the children. Tell the people these children died. And then that brought the children out in front of them for the next Super Bowl and had them sing the national anthem for them. And nobody knew that was some of them kids were the children that were supposed to be dead because the pictures that was used was 6 and 7 years old, and everybody thought them children were dead.
Well, here's a weird thing too, man. The nation of Argentina, man. And there's a reason I bring this up. Hear me out. Okay, war criminals out from American history, or from even from other countries that we've been at war with. War criminals, ranging from the Nazis are on the run to Civil War criminals, went and found refuge in Argentina. Okay, and then you look at what's going on now, like a lot of these, there's a lot of these power elites that have their refuge within South America, as well as in Argentina. There's something about Argentina, isn't it?
Well, there's just so much going on at one time right now that it's actually pathetic. We try to get people to do something, to come up with different ideas to beat their head of what we can do. And the dating scene is a whole other topic, and that's what tonight's show is supposed to be about. But unless some people show up here in the chat and want to talk about the dating scene, we're going to talk about whatever, and that's how it's going to be, So, and that's, if they start showing up in the chat here and that's what they want to talk about, then that's where I'm going to go. But that's, because the division is terrible. The breakdown of the family unit, the breakdown of the genders is absolutely awful. You almost got nobody that even knows what they're doing out there when it comes to dating to begin with. And that's the reason there's so much drama. That's the reason there's so much fighting. And people, TFLers think they're missing out on something, but they're really not. I mean, unless you enjoy
you think it would be an
drama.
indefensible? You'd think it'd be an indefensible position to argue against the idea that the relationships happen to be based off a foundation of lying and dishonesty and having game. You think that would be that would be a no contest. There's no arguing that, right? People are so stupid that they'll actually argue that. They'll actually argue that there's nothing immature about that at all, and it's like this is where we've gotten, man. It's like idiocracy. It's like we shouldn't even have to explain that. That should be self-explanatory. That should be fucking obvious.
Well, it's funny because the stuff is so obvious and so in everybody's face, but yet they can't see what's right in their face. And it's pathetic because they've made it norm. They have literally made it norm. And people take it to be norm. They think this is the way it's always been throughout history when no, it's not. It's not at all.
Yeah.
You know, they can't figure out why the divorce rate's where it's at, how many children, you know, they don't care. You know, your children are supposed to be your future, the next generation. Your children, you should care about you. You know, when you claim you want to care about your children, take care of your children, and you want to see your children have a successful life and grow up to blah, blah, blah. What are you giving your children to grow up to? You know, the founding fathers of this country and the wars that these people died to give you what little bit of freedom you've had all these years. All that freedom's going out the door right under your nose. Everybody's being divided. The family unit's been completely destroyed. Men and women are at each other's throats. You know, I mean, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. The new love in today's society is drama.
Yeah, you know, that's really it, man. Like, that's sad as it is, man.
This is why, you know, the
I mean,
TFLers out there, in some ways, TFLers are better off. They don't realize how lucky they really are. They can have that person in their life that they think they want, that's right there ready to start the fight with them, that ain't going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that fight might be over by the time you go to bed, because it's nothing but drama. Drama, drama, all day long, all day long. And then the selfishness, the self-centered selfishness. People being all about their own selves.
yeah.
You know, non-care. I mean, that's what you have in today's society, is people who don't care as long as they get their want, and their want is fluff and stuff. And they don't care what's going
Yeah,
on
pretty much
around them,
that's
you
it,
know.
man.
You know, and you want to complain about this stuff, like you see TFLers up here complaining constantly. I can understand the hurt you go through with the constant rejection. I got nothing against you complaining about that, but you got to open your eyes and really look for the root cause to why it's going on. And then you got to open your eyes and look
And what
around
you
you.
find out, man, is the guys that are quote getting lucky aren't getting so lucky.
No, they're not
You
getting as
know.
lucky as you think they are. If you want to call drama, the police being called on you, going to jail, being hit, being punched, yeah, there's females that'll hit you and punch you. They won't hesitate a bit. You know, so if you call drama and fighting love, well, then I mean, you know, I guess more power to you, huh? Because you're not going to have a successful relationship. And what do you want that around your children? So this is what the children are going to learn, right? Is this what you want to teach your children? That love is fighting and drama and going from one partner to the next? You know how many women out there have 2, 3, 4 kids, and their kids are all by different dads? And you want to call that
Well,
normal?
this is all goes right along with what Bertrand Russell wrote about, man, in his book talking about his books about the scientific dictatorship that are coming in, primarily the impact of science on society, the scientific outlook. And he would talk about this, how people, people, more and more kids would end up eventually being raised by single mothers, eventually going to be raised by the state as a family unit continues to die out, and they're going to be raised to be, they're not going to have any sense of connection to like family or community or anything like that. They're basically going to be automatons to be shipped around like property.
Well, that's it.
And that's where we're headed.
I'll say hello to Warren Kimball, who just come up into the chat. Appreciate you having you here. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. You have a situation where
That's
men
my
and
friend Warren. I know who he is. That's the other Aspie guy named
okay,
Warren.
well, that's
Hey,
cool.
I'm pretty sure that's him.
And he said hello to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to type my type box, but it won't let me type.
You got to click where it
I
says.
don't know why it won't let me type. Let me see if I can refresh the page. Maybe it'll let me
Take
type.
your cursor and click right underneath where it says my name, where it says say something, and click right there.
Okay, click right where?
Underneath.
Okay, right here in that box, yeah. Okay, now it's let me type.
There you go.
Yeah, we don't got that many people on here tonight, man. Usually we have more people here tonight, but it's still only the first 15 minutes, though, man. More people will probably show up.
Well, you got that, plus you got the fact that YouTube does
Yeah.
not send out. If you're subscribed to my channel, they're not getting their notifications. Okay, YouTube makes sure that my
Yeah.
notifications are never sent out. I have people come in here all the time saying, "Well, I never got a notification." Well, you ain't going to get a notification because I'm being censored. So you have to
Yeah.
understand when I say what days I'll be back on that day, so then you'll know at that day, that time. And of course, if you're not in my time zone, then you need to figure out what time I'm at. But if you can remember that, you can be here when we're having the shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, YouTube suppresses. They aren't fond of us. But here's the thing: there are people out there that speak far less truth than what we're saying. But yeah, because they say something that's true on some kind of insignificant level, they're still being suppressed.
Oh, that's it. Just make
You
sure.
know, that's how socialism works. It gradually becomes more and more anti-authoritarian.
Well, just
You see all this censorship go to all over the place, and you don't even have to be hitting on anything like super profound or anything that's really of any kind of real threat to the system. The fact that you're saying something that goes against the public narrative is enough.
well, that's it.
You know?
Well, a lot of people don't even realize that the division amongst the genders was deliberate. It was deliberately created, and it's been, through social
Yeah.
conditioning machine, they've only escalated it. But when it comes to real truth, YouTube don't want real truth. They'll censor you down. And I'm quite used to that.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, I'm censored all the
And you get these
time.
bozos out here that think. You get these bozos out here that think that just because they listen to Alex Jones, oh yeah, well I'm awake to everything's going on. And I gotta laugh at that, man. I mean, you know.
Well, hello, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
No, well, they can listen to Alex Jones all they want. I mean, I don't really care. I had my troll in last night's show.
He's got some truth, but like I said, I mean, you don't want to follow him too close, man. I mean, he's a spin agent, man. I mean,
Well, that's what most of them are. They tell you a little bit of truth and a whole bunch of
yeah,
propaganda. A little bit of truth and a bunch of propaganda. That's what most of them are. I mean,
yeah,
YouTube's loaded with them.
yeah,
But it's one of these situations to where I see it so clear in people's face. It's not an accident that you have this problem amongst the genders. That it's been deliberately done. And that's why I try to get people to
yeah.
talk about it, because how can men and women ever come back together if they're not willing to talk to each other about it? I mean, the first thing is you've
Well,
got
here's
to be
the
able to
thing. Here's the
communicate with
thing.
them.
I mean, there's a lot of men that do want to talk about it. But the problem with that is other men shame you for actually wanting to talk about it, and women will shame you for wanting to talk about it, and they'll say that, oh, well, one hand they complain, well, men aren't willing to open up, or they're not willing to be sensitive, or whatever this bullshit they want to sit there and say is men aren't open with their emotions or whatever. But at the same time, if a man actually has problems, they want to talk about their problems, they say, oh, man up and stop being a wuss.
When's the last time When's the last time you heard everybody tell the woman to woman up?
I mean,
I don't believe I've ever heard somebody say woman up. It's always man up, isn't it?
yeah.
And, I'm just being sarcastic, but it is actually truthful stuff I'm saying.
It really is, man. It's on so many levels. The deception runs so deep, man. Like there's so many people that can't even. I mean, fuck people level 1. They can't even get to level 0.5. I mean, like they're out of sleep on their feet. That's the majority of people.
Well,
So that being
Zachary.
said, I mean, it's almost like it seems like it's futile, man, because there's not enough people. I mean, I'm not saying don't learn, but I mean, it's like. And sometimes you feel like powerless to really do anything to stop it.
Well, Warren Zachary came up with something last night that I'm totally with him on. Totally. I don't know how we'd get it done, I'll tell you that. But it would be definitely worth it. We need to get an army of people together that's willing to go and stand outside of CNN ABC, CBS, and Fox. And then after we get enough people, take over the studio. And he said, like he said, knock these people on their ass and take over the studios and take over the airways. Because the only way you're going to wake up the masses is through the very weapon they've used to divide everybody, your television set.
Yeah. I mean, that might shake things up a little bit, but ultimately they're going to crush it really fast. And what's going to happen is, I mean, like I said, it's control chaos. I mean, they'll just take control of the chaos. They'll establish camps and leaders, and I mean.
Well, but I agree
with
with
they do with everything.
I agree with him upon the idea, but then how long would you be able to keep control of that media? Because the minute you have
that's what I'm saying.
The minute you have control of it, there's going to be troops and everybody else headed your way to take you out.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to put your life on the line if you're ever going to change anything to begin with. Your founding fathers of this country who fought for the freedom you're enjoying, they put their lives on the line to get it for you. And if you're too coward to put your lives on the line, you don't plan on keeping it.
Well, I've been taking one a little bit further than that, Bill, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, those times were in many ways were relatively better. But I'm not going to even look back at them as rose-colored glasses. There were a lot of fucked up things going on then, too. But a lot of the founding fathers were already Freemasons. I know Benjamin Franklin in particular was very big in the French Illuminati and the Western Hellfire Club before he even came to America. That was back in France.
Oh, yeah,
most of these people were blood related to British royalty. All of our presidents, with the exception of JFK, were blood related to British royalty.
Yeah, that part is very correct. And most people don't even realize that. It's like your so-called president now. Most people with the scripted election is Trump running against his own cousin. That's right.
If you go back, Francis Bacon was a 33rd degree Freemason, right? This is before America was founded, right? This book is older than America, okay? He wrote at that time, this is a time when people were traveling on horse and chariot, right, and riding by candlelight. They hadn't officially, quote, discovered electricity yet, right? And he wrote about the founding of America. He wrote a book called The New Atlantis, and he's talking about the founding of America in that book. And how did he know that? He knew that because it was pre-planned. Like I said, what I've been saying for a long time, your Bible is a blueprint, it's a script. And that was a script. I mean, it's spoken esoterically, but it's a script. They knew the script, man. So, yeah, America was never really intended to be that free country that people say it was. I mean.
There you go. I like this.
Yeah.
Supposedly sexually assaulted 60-year-old woman when she was 16. 16 equals 33. Mm-hmm. He's giving you the numbers.
Yeah.
And I do like that. I plan on getting that book when Zachary releases that book. I'm going to get that book.
Yeah.
That's going to be a book worth having.
Yeah, I have to take a look at that. And it won't surprise me. Here's the weird thing when you hear about these allegations. On one hand, there's a lot of false rape allegations women are throwing up, just to get attention or just to get resources out of man and bleed them dry. But at the same time, there's also a lot of pedophiles and shit in Hollywood too. So sometimes it kind of leaves you confused of knowing like how much of this is true and how much of it isn't.
Yeah, well, well, but see, that's the problem is there's so many lies, and the media scripts everything. And Zachary has proven that everything is scripted. Everything. So finding the truth anymore is like finding a needle in a haystack. You have to dig and dig and dig and understand what's going on. But if you understand the numbers that Zachary's telling you about all go back to the Bible too.
Yeah.
So gematria is something that people need to learn. But of course, that's knowledge that you're not supposed to know.
Well, the Bible too goes back to the mystery schools.
Yeah.
Which is all religions ultimately go back. They all have the same root. They all go back to the mystery schools.
Well, that's just it, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm eager and I'm willing to learn, and I want to learn on the number system really good. I do want to know that, you know. And I mean,
Mhm.
Zachary inspires me that way, and I really like that because that's something that I've always been for digging for more and more knowledge and truth. And your knowledge is right there in your face with the Freemasons and the numbers. And this guy Warren right there is giving you some of the numbers right there.
Yeah.
Zachary broke down Alex Jones
Yeah.
last night.
I'm kind of stuck with numbers, and I have to really break down his side to figure out how all this stuff works.
Yeah, if you
Battle
listen,
numbers, I ain't gonna lie.
I took the part of my show last night that Zachary was in, and I posted it up on my new page today. You might want to listen to it. You're going to hear Zach, and you're going to hear him break down Alex Jones.
Alright.
He'll break down the numbers on Alex Jones. And that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'll definitely take a look. I meant to before, but I had so much other shit going on. I figured probably not after the show's done tonight, might as well,
Yeah, that's something worth listening to. So I did that, and I put it up on my channel today. And for whatever reason, there was a lot of echoing after it saved out on my channel, and I didn't like that. So I went back up on Blog Talk, and so anybody, if you get echoing on this show, you can get this show over on Blog Talk Radio. Okay, and if you come up to my channel on Blog Talk Radio, Bill 122460, okay, you'll find the archive of every show I've ever done, and I'm up live on Blog Talk right now while I'm live here on YouTube. So everything we're talking about is being archived over on Blog Talk as well, and you'll find the audio quality is a lot better over there. So if it echoes what you see on my channel, you don't like the echoing, just go over to Blog Talk and pull it. I pulled last night's show purposely, and I took and ripped out the whole show except everything Zach was in, and I posted it back up on my channel today. It'll automatically archive to my channel after the show, but if the quality's not so good, you can always go over to Blog Talk and you'll get a lot better quality.
So here's my question, though, Bill. Here's my question, okay? With all these, you hear someone different all the time. They went from being Bill Cosby to Donald Trump to Harvey Weinstein to whoever it is this month or that month, man. The people are coming up 20, 30 years later, and these women saying, oh, he molested me or he whatever. And, there's a good chance that a lot of these women are lying about it just because, I could be wrong. With knowing everything else that I'm seeing, man, my gut tells me that a lot of these women are making false accusations for attention or for money or, because that's just popping off like wildfire. And why is all of a sudden all these women are attacking like 30-some women per guy are attacking all these guys all of a sudden with all of a sudden, they did this like 20, 30-some years ago. I'm not, some of that don't seem right, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what if there is some truth to it? Because we do know that pedophilia runs pretty damn deep in Hollywood, and of course, Corey Feldman could give you a good expose on that,
The only problem I have with Corey Feldman is the fact that he says he can name names that he's not naming, and now he wants to put a movie together and is asking for $10 million to put a movie together. Okay? So meanwhile, while he's trying to get up $10 million to put a movie together, he's not going to name any names. So these people can go on doing more children, huh?
Yeah.
So I do have a problem with that because if you're really out to protect your children, seriously, if you're really out to protect children, why wouldn't you just give the names? It's no different than if you believe the hogwash with Bill Cosby, which is most likely, if you could pull the numbers up on Bill Cosby and what is going on, it would probably be all scripted. But let's just say it is real. Let's say it just really happened, for example, right? If it really happened, then you still have to ask yourself a question. If you was really raped, I mean for real, would you wait 30-something years to come forward?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you might be able to pass off one or two, maybe even a handful of women that are scared to stay something that long. But the more you pile more and more and more and more and more numbers, the more you think in the likelihood that someone is going to come forward before that time to say something. Yeah.
Well, that's
I
just it.
mean, so.
We do know what happens. There's no doubt about it. There is false accusations made. Okay, most of the time it'll be over a custody battle for the kids. Okay, the woman will make a false accusation to try to get the kids, which most likely she's going to get anyhow just based on her gender. Because after all, we got to keep the division alive. Most courts, I mean, no fault divorce. Even when it come to my own divorce with my ex, her and I had already worked out the details. She was never there for my son anyhow. So it was agreed upon that I would have the son, right? My son. Well, when we got in the courtroom, the judge didn't even read the papers, didn't question anything, and immediately, with no questions asked, tried to reverse the decision of who my son was going to be with and hand him over to my ex. And the only reason she did not get custody of my son is because she flipped out on the judge. If she hadn't flipped out on the judge, she would have had custody with no questions asked.
Back when I was, I don't know if I told this or not, back when I was about maybe 10 years old, and this is back in the early mid 90s, right? When I was about 10 years old, my dad had divorced and moved away to another town, right? He had moved up, right? Because when I was like really little, he used to work double shifts at a power plant to put food on the table. My mom stayed home and took care of the kids, right? Well, my mom drove him out of the house because she's a freaking batshit. Okay. Well, my dad moves over to a few towns over and becomes an electrical inspector. Actually, making pretty good, doing pretty well for himself, right? My mom, who has custody of it, she starts seeing this violent alcoholic guy, and of course, because we're living pretty poor, we're going to fucking violent gang-riddled schools and all this other shit, and she tells me that she gives custody to my dad, that if she wanted to, despite my dad being able to provide safer schools, a safer home environment, more financial stability, and all that other stuff, that she could have still, regardless if she wanted to, keep custody over me.
That's correct. That's
when
correct.
I was 10 years old.
Well, that is actually correct. You know, I don't know how many people was around when Peter Nolan was up on this show, but you know, Peter Nolan, he had a right to be angry. Now, sometimes he goes overboard and he gets very bitter and angry against women, but he actually had a right to be angry because I know his story. I know what happened to him, and it didn't happen here in America. But the same thing happens in America all the time. All the time that happened to Peter. You know, he's married to one woman for 20 something years. And all his children were by this woman. She never worked. He worked. He worked, brought all the money in, that bought the house, that bought the car, that bought the clothes for the kid, that bought the furniture, that bought everything. Well, she got tired of him going to work all the time. Well, she wanted the lifestyle that he had. He had to work to get that lifestyle. Well, that meant that she had to go out and cheat on him. Then she had to dump him. Then after she dumped him, she took the kids, took the house, took everything from him. And then after she took everything from him, then she even turned the kids against him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've seen this happen a lot of times where the parent that has the kids will turn the children against the other one. It's wrong, it's evil, and it shouldn't happen, but that's the society we live in.
It's called blood sacrifice. Yeah, as far as he said, why are all these people close to famous people, friends or family members, dying weird deaths? They're being described, sacrificed, executed for that one person's fame and fortune. Yeah, that was what they call the blood sacrifice. They did that to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson didn't have a heart attack, and this is really questionable. There's a lot of people saying that Michael Jackson never done anything with these children. You know, Michael Jackson, I
don't know whether he did or not.
I know, I can't say one way or the other. I did see an interview that was released with Michael Jackson overseas, and he was talking about the media, and he was talking about, well, some of the stuff that we talk about, okay? And he was wanting to go on a new tour, and he was writing new music where he was going to be exposing the elite, the globalists. And then suddenly he winds up dead of a heart attack, huh? What I hear was that they actually have a weapon they can use that penetrates buildings that will actually bring on a heart attack and kill you.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they do have that technology because you know they're at least 50 years ahead of us on everything they have.
Yeah, didn't they say it had something to do with some sort of medication or something he was on?
Yeah, they blamed the doctor and
That
said
ain't
the
the official
doctor,
story
yes.
that they gave.
Bill Cosby brought up the
Right.
numbers.
I mean, I'm not saying the official story is correct, but that's the official story they gave, right? It had something to do with he was on some sort of medicine or something, and because I was thinking they could have just poisoned his medicine. I mean, I could have theoretically. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know. I mean, I have to look more into that, but
Well, you know, I was looking at what Warren Kimball here wrote about Bill Cosby. Reaction 36 equals 36. Some see that as 3666. And 36, transregular numbers, meaning when you add them up, all the numbers from 1 through 36, you get 666.
oh shit, no kidding. That's interesting.
It really is. That it really is.
Yeah,
you
man.
know?
If you look at the chart of the multiples of 9, right, between 1 and 10, they mirror each other towards the center, right? Like 1 times 9 is 9, right? 0, 9. 1 times 9 times 10 is 90, 90, right? And then you get the second one, and then the second from the last, which is 9, right? Number 2, 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 9 is 81, right? 18, 81. You see how they just reverse the numbers, right? And then it's the same thing with like 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 8 is 72. 2772. You see, and it keeps doing that toward you to the middle. You know.
Yep, Zachary will
You see what I'm saying?
Yep, Zachary will tell you to take the alphabet A through Z and put 1 underneath the 2, 1 underneath A, 2 underneath B, and so on. And then you can go forward with it, you can go backwards with it.
Mm-hmm. Who is this dude's looking for Dave? Who's Dave?
I'm not sure who he's talking about.
I don't. As far as I know, there ain't nobody named Dave in this chat room, bro. As far as I know, William Gyras. You might have the wrong chat room. I don't know. I mean, I've seen you here before. I think. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Are really being killed. Maybe some are. Maybe some aren't. Yeah. I always thought. I mean, I'm not saying this is the case. But like when they said that they killed Saddam Hussein, okay, let's think about this here for a moment. The guy had 2 or 3 stunt doubles run around that looked exactly like him. I'm not saying this is the case, but he might not even been killed, bro. I mean, they might have just hung one of his stunt doubles and kept him in hiding somewhere, theoretically.
Well, that's very, very possible because you know Adolf Hitler wasn't killed.
Yeah, you know. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. He said Dave was a burn victim. People say he dressed up as him on Larry King after being dead. Dressed up as Michael Jackson, I'm assuming. Yeah. Yeah, you know, because Michael Jackson was a child star too, and there's a lot of things with a lot of child stars in Hollywood. Like I said, they're being molested and shit like this. They're being like indoctrinated into this Hollywood system, man. And a lot of these people are really fucked up from a young age because of this shit. That's why you see a lot of these these young kids that are Hollywood stars. They burn out by the time they reach their early 20s, man. They're into drugs and they've fallen out of fame and in and out of prison or whatever the case may be because there's a lot of shit that they were exposed to. And you know, Macaulay Culkin. Look at Macaulay Culkin. I could give you other examples.
I seen a recent.
The girl that played Stephanie on Full House.
Yeah, I seen an actual current picture of Macaulay Culkin that's pretty current, and he's actually starting to look more healthy and better than what he used to. So maybe,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Maybe he's getting himself back on track. Dustin Diamond also played Screech on Saved by the Bell as another one.
Well, that's it.
You know.
The 27 Club, look it up. Yep, that'll be something to look up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, it's, like I said, man, we allow ourselves to be surrounded by a bunch of damn pedophiles. And to me, that's fucking disgusting, man. You know.
I think a lot of that is more to create division. I'm not saying it ain't happening. What I'm saying, a lot of it's to create division. Because, you know, you get somebody in a high position doing this to children and they get by with it. And we know this happens, okay? But the sickening thing is we do nothing about it. It's just like in the dating scene, people go on just thinking it's normal. You have to have game. What's normal about having to have game?
Every year, man, like, every year, hundreds of kids go missing that are never recovered, man. I mean, how much you want to bet a lot of these kids are being swept up into sex trafficking for the elites and shit like that? You know? And I've heard theories, because I can't prove this. I mean, this probably isn't true, but I'm not going to completely write it out of the realm of possibility that sometimes the elites have turned a lot of these kids into hamburger meat they sell to McDonald's or some crap. I don't know. I'm not going to say that that's an actual. I'm not going to say that for fact. I've heard that theory.
Well, you know what? I got a couple videos with a Jew who breaks this down, and he even calls the words that Jews call us. Okay, it's goy. I try to get the damn name out right. Okay, but Jerry will say it all the time. Zach talks about it all the time. What we're actually called by the Jews. Well, I got a couple videos that was posted up on YouTube, and every time they got posted up, and I've had them for a long time, every time, and this was before all the censorship even, every time they were posted up on YouTube, they were taken down.
Yeah.
They were posted up over and over and taken down over and over. So when I noticed that going on, so what I did was, the last person that posted them up, I downloaded them immediately. It wasn't 2 days later and they were gone again. Well, I got them videos, but I know I can't post them up. Well, this guy talks specifically in an interview and laughs. He calls it funny. He says the missing children in America are sex trafficked, as you said. Some of them are used for blood sacrifice because the best blood sacrifice for this evil elite is the pure virgin boy. Not girl, boy. Okay? That's the suppose.
Yeah, because a lot of these elites have a thing, especially, well, at least I know amongst the male pedophiles, they have a thing for little boys.
Yep. So, well, the best blood sacrifice was a young boy and a virgin. And they stand with the kids that are sex trafficked, and then they'll disappear after they're not making them as much money because they're getting older. And some of these kids are just killed, and their bodies are put into a slaughterhouse, and the meat's being sold back to McDonald's in America, and that the people in America are eating their own children, don't even know it. And he was laughing at it. He thought it was awesome and funny. And it was actually pretty disgusting. But I've never posted these videos back up because I know if I post them back up, they're going to get taken down. But I did open another site that's supposed to allow everything without censorship of any kind. So I might test it and take these 2 videos and post them up over there. What are they going to do? Shut me down? Oh, well.
You know, it's the Soylent Green, Bill. You know, God, I shouldn't even be laughing about it. That's sick, really. I mean, it's disgusting that they do that.
Yeah, there he is. He just said the name, Goyim. Goyim. That is what the Jews call us, Goyams. And you know what Goyim means? It means you're worthless, Warren. It means they can lie to you, they can steal you, and they can kill you. And there's no big deal because you're not the chosen one. You're nobody.
Yeah. Basically, Goyim is a racist word Jews use to describe non-Jews.
Yeah.
You know. track of the missing kids in this country, and that's their fucking job. The high ups know exactly what's going on, and lower dumb fucks are getting followed. Well, yeah, it's like if you look at Germany, man, because you got all this damn German guilt and white guilt and shit. I mean, all these young kids are apologizing for shit they never did, right? And you got all these Muslims coming in through the refugee crisis coming into Germany. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm not saying every one of them is bad, but there are a contingent of them there that are bad. And they're been implemented in sex trafficking. Well, what you find out is the German authorities have known about this like at least a year or two ahead of time, but they didn't act on it because they were afraid of being called racist.
Well, you got that.
And to me, that's inexcusable, man. That's fucking excusable. You knew kids were being abused, and you did nothing.
Well, look at the reality. Ever since 9/11, we've been repeating Nazi Germany right to a T. We're invading every country there is. We're stealing the resources. We're shooting and killing and blowing up buildings and killing men, women, and children. Okay, and children. And we don't care about them children because they're not ours. That's pretty disgusting. That's pretty outright disgusting, if you ask me.
You think that's bad, man? Let me tell you what happens out in Southeast Asia. That's the pedophile mecca of the world, man. It's in Southeast Asia, around areas like Thailand and stuff like that, right? And that's where a lot of child sex trafficking goes on in those areas, man. And there are people out there, man, like parents that willingly sell their own kids into fucking trafficking for whatever reason, to pay off debts or whatever, man. And again, I mean, I might not be living in the kind of poverty that they are, but I don't have to be to know that, that's a line you don't cross regardless. I mean, if I had kids, man, I would starve to death before I did some shit like that.
Oh yeah, I totally understand you on that one, and I'm with you on that one, Warren. I just, we live in a very, very sick society, and that is no lie. And this is not discriminatory because there's no such thing as a woman or a man that hasn't been affected by this. That's the reason it's so screwed up. I mean, the dating scene itself is so screwed up it's not even funny. If you're labeled as a nice guy...
The idea behind it is to get...
Well, yeah, I was just going to say...
The idea behind it is to get society so corrupt, man, that they don't see anything wrong with it. That way they at least don't have to hide how corrupt they are because it'll be normalized to people.
Well, it's already almost become normalized. Let's look at the reality. The women chase after the bad boy. That's the majority of women. Okay? Then they complain about the way they're treated by the bad boy because their whole idea is it's a challenge to change them. So rather than love somebody for who they are, you want to change them. Okay? Then the nice guy, we can't have a nice guy. He's the one that comes in last. We don't want anything to do with the nice guy. But then you're going to turn around and tell me TFL don't exist when the majority of women out there don't want anything to do with the nice guy. And then they'll label the nice guy as weak and this and that and put all these labels to him. Okay? And it's pretty actually sickening and pathetic. Just like most TFLers or guys out there know right away that most women know if they want to know you in 1 to 5 seconds. It only took them 1 to 5 seconds to know if they wanted to know you. Then they say, well, we didn't have things in common. Hold on, you never met him in your life. You already knew in 1 to 5 seconds. You wouldn't have known you've had anything in common to begin with. Which really means you was going by checking them out. Did they have a Rolex watch on? Were they wearing some clothes that were really high dollar? Did they drive a Porsche? There you go. Or did he make my hole wet? Now it's disgusting, but you want to look at the social conditioning machine, the modeling industry, and the pornography that's been pushed in everybody's face. What's been pushed on TV? Male bashing, male bashing, male bashing, male bashing.
Yeah. And it's really thick, too. And now what you hear is this, because I'm seeing this, man, it's like a fight between the feminists and the traditionalists, and the traditionalists have infiltrated the men's rights and all that and turned it into another feminist movement, basically. It's like the right-wing feminism versus left-wing feminism, more or less, that's what it is. And then listeners say, oh, it's different because excuse, and they'll make up all these excuses about I mean, you know, about like, well, it's just people are just not going to be gynocentric. That's just how it is. And well, in that case, if that's their answer, then how can they get mad at the damn feminists then? Because what they're doing is no different than what I mean. Granted, okay, the feminists, the liberals right now are given more reign by the government, but at the end of the day, I mean. Both the right and the left have done immeasurable destruction to men over the course of the years. I mean, you know, and it doesn't make no sense to me that people are going to resort to traditionalism as a way to fight feminism, considering feminism grew from traditionalism. It grew out of like, I mean, there's two types of traditionalism. There's patriarchal traditionalism and there's gynocentric traditionalism. And feminism grew out of gynocentric traditionalism. Most people, these traditionalists you see in the men's rights movement and stuff today, they're gynocentric traditionalists. And they're mostly white men, bro, honestly. I mean, you know, like, yeah, well, colors and stuff. What they want to do is they want to racially divide. They want to use gynocentrism as a tool. They want to racially divide the country down the middle, man, along party lines. Put the white people on the right and the colored people on the left. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Well, it is, you know, but you got to, you know, I was going to say one other thing here. You need to understand one thing. It was brought to you by the very same people that's divided the rest of you, the genders. Okay, so you got problem, reaction, solution. They gave you a PUA, pickup artist industry, where they made a shitload of money off guys who couldn't get a woman in their life. They gave you MRA, who spent the last 15 years chasing symptoms, and the first time you brought a root cause up, they didn't want anything to do with it, wouldn't talk about the root cause, and blew you off completely because they don't want to look for the cause. They want to chase after symptoms. Okay? And now you got a female running MRA. What does that tell you?
Yeah, and here's the thing about that. This is how you notice that this new tradition that is very gynocentric, right? And what you notice, Matt, is this, okay? Because the left has been so loud and they've been having so much sway and everything, right? The moderates or the egalitarians and the centrists have allied themselves with the far right to fight the left, right? And so they're rubbing off on one another. So that's why you got like, you know, like if you go back like 5 or 6 years ago, a bunch of tradcons, right, wouldn't allow a woman to have formal power over them, even in the family unit, much less in a fucking movement, much less a movement that's supposed to be about men's rights. I mean, the key word is formal power. They wouldn't allow a woman to have formal power in that situation, right? The average tradcon wouldn't have. Right, even gynocentric tradcons wouldn't allow women to have formal power over them. But now they're part of a movement that has a formal female leader and a gay male leader. They wouldn't have followed the leader of gay guy either. I'm not saying to bash gays. I'm just being realistic here. So you see what's happening here is a lot of this stuff is gradually starting to mirror the social justice warrior movement, man. I'm watching both sides of it, man. I mean, you know, we're even having like the infusion of LGTB starting to make its way in because, like I said, the moderates and the centrists are now in the same camp with a lot of the far right because of the left. All hands are being played by the government. I mean, it's all being played by the same puppeteers. So, you know, I mean, it's crazy how this stuff is falling into place.
It is. Well, you know, he said that. We said that a long time ago, and people don't even stop to think about it. You know, we can go like this: feminism, communism, fascism, socialism. Then you can go PUA, CIA. Do we need to go on?
What they want is a civil war within the West, man, between the far right and the far left to break down order. And I think the elites have picked the left to win it. Because, you know, when you think about it, man, it's going to be a battle between two forms of socialism. Both sides are going to be so brainwashed they're going to think government tyranny and socialism is the fix to their problem somehow instead of being the actual problem itself. That's how dumb they are, man. Because you have national socialists on the right, which is nationalistic, right? Hence retaining borders, right? That's how you know they're a path. They're the ones being phased out. And then you have the communist or expansionist, globalist socialists on the left, you know, who want globalism, a world without borders. And see, when you look at the framework of that, it kind of answers who the elites are picking to win it, because it's all being staged. People are being pulled on strings.
That's it.
You know.
Every last bit of it's being staged and all set up. But it's worked out wonders for
Yeah.
everybody because through this they've managed to break up the family unit. They've managed to destroy many people's lives. They've managed to get women at men's throats and men's at women's throat. And nowadays, majority of women are married to the court system. They're married to the government because of the handouts they get for being a woman. You look at the shelters for domestic abuse, and well, a man can't. It was wrote into the Violence Against Women's Act that a man can never be a victim of domestic abuse. So that means she can pound the hell out of you with a hammer or whatever she wants, and you're not a victim.
Yeah, you know. Well, how this works, man. Well, I mean, here's too a lot with the leftists, man. Is any group that they decide is quote privileged, whether that be the Christians, whether that be men, whether that be straight, whether that be white people, whatever. It don't matter what the fuck happens to you because they don't even consider you human. So that way, no matter what the fuck is done to you, they're going to have this attitude. Oh, poor guy, poor straight person, poor whitey, whatever.
Well,
Because
William, he brought up an interesting point. Let's think about this a minute. You get hooked up into domestic abuse. The woman beats the hell out of you. You're gonna have to look like an idiot because a woman beat you up, okay? But not only that, if you hit her back, you might even get a felony. And the minute you get a felony, you can't buy a gun, you can't buy ammo. So we can hook you into the system and take your right to bear arms away from you. We got something going there, don't we?
yeah, you know. You know, man. I mean, in some states, man, you don't have to be a violent offense. I mean, if I go to jail for smoking a joint or something, or if I get popped for smoking a joint, they could take. I could be ineligible to buy a gun now.
Well, but here's the deal. Most people don't even realize this. If you get technical and you look into the laws, you'll find out if you get popped for a half ounce of weed or an ounce of weed, Warren, and you go to prison or jail for it, as long as it wasn't in an act of crime, violence, if there was no weapons used or no violence in any kind of way, you can get around and still be able to own a gun. But you're going to have to get an attorney. See, so you're still going to have to give system money because you can still get a gun with a felony. Most people think if you got a felony, you can't own a gun. But if you get technical about the laws, you'll find out that you can own a gun with a felony. Okay, but it depends on the felony. If you've used any kind of weapon in any kind of anything, then you will lose the right to bear arms.
Yeah. But here's the thing about that, man. You know, once order really breaks down, okay, here's the pros and cons of there's two ways to get a firearm, legally and illegally, okay? And I'm going to tell you what the pros and cons are both ways, okay? If you buy a gun legally and it's registered in your name, that means the government has you on record. They know you have that gun. So when they get to the point that they want to go grabbing up guns, they already know to go to your house, right? But it's a gun that you're allowed to have that you won't be arrested for having at that point. Now, if you buy a gun illegally, you don't know whether it's been tracked or it's traced or it has bodies on it. You don't know the history of that gun, you see. But once order breaks down and once it's a fight to survive, it's not going to matter whether the gun you're holding is legal or not anyways. At that point, if you're going against the public narrative, if you're fighting for your freedom, you're already considered an outlaw. I mean, you know, so.
Yep, well, I know what he's saying about, somebody that was grabbed for a misdemeanor amount of weed and had a clipper in his pocket and was nailed for a felony because of the clipper. Well, yeah, they'll do anything to get the felony on you because most people will never spend the money with an attorney to be able to bear arms again. Because you have to understand what the laws are in the state you're in, okay, to know if you can bear arms again after you got a felony. But I was just telling anybody that's got a felony, just get yourself a gun illegally anyhow. Because the situation comes
Well, I tell you
down
what,
to
keep
this.
a safe society, man. is an armed society, man. An armed society is a polite society, man. Because people can be stupid, man, but they're not so stupid, man. You got a bunch of dumb fucking criminals that want to do some stupid shit, man. They won't think twice if they know that they're not the only person carrying a gun and everybody else in the street is around them. They're also packing heat. They won't think twice before they do some crazy shit.
Oh yeah. Well, he brought up another interesting point. Oh, put a sexy girl in there to brainwash you. Well, that'll happen to a lot of men, especially guys that are striving and starving for putting their dick in a hole. They'll fall right into it. The girl's the perfect
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah.
But that's to white knights and vaginas mostly.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. That's the thing that you really got to hold these white knights accountable, man, because just as much, if not even more so, the attack on men, I mean, is really coming from the white knights just as much, if not more so, from the women or feminists themselves. I mean, let's be honest here, okay? Even if we got rid of all this gynocentrism from the left and the right and everywhere else, we got rid of all this shit, right? Within our society, within our structure, right? Let's just say we miraculously got rid of it somehow and it was gone. These white knights would all bring it back within a generation.
Yeah, that would be correct. That would be correct. I get disgusted when I watch a guy, the woman gets mad at him, and this guy who appears to act like a man turns into a complete pussy because his woman's mad at him and bows down. And when I see a guy do that, it just makes me sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care, I would never condone hitting a woman, but I also don't condone a woman hitting you. If she's man enough to hit you, you hit her back. Because nobody belongs hitting nobody. Keep your freaking hands to yourself. Unless it's for self-defense
Morally and logically,
purposes.
that'd be the right thing to do, and I would recommend that. But the only problem with that is with the way the laws are set nowadays. If you defend yourself against a woman, you're going to be. You don't even have to defend yourself. Sometimes a woman's hit. I've seen cases where the guy didn't even defend himself. When a woman was hitting the guy, and the guy just bought up in a corner and took it, and somehow the woman still calls on him, and the woman gets him arrested. When she's the one that beat him, and he goes to jail.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
about. Back to her.
I know what you're talking about because that does happen. And you don't have shelters for battered men. You cross America, you'd be lucky to find 2 shelters for battered men if you're lucky. And that's if you're lucky. But you'll find hundreds for women.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Well, because they want to go on the logic again, that men don't get back because men are bigger and stronger than women. But yet, that's faulty logic, man. Okay, even if let's say on average, okay, I agree. On average, men usually stronger than women. But even if, okay, the weaker party can find equalizers, and the women are good at that because they love to create drama, man. I mean, there's always guns, bats, cars, knives, poison. Yeah, that's probably one of their favorite techniques right there is poison. I mean, when you look at a lot of these crime drama TV shows and shit like that, and you see a lot of that shit. I mean, let's say honestly, let's say you got a 250-pound man, right, who's going with a 130-pound woman, right, and this woman, even though she's smaller than him, she slips some fucking Ajax in his goddamn workout shake or something. Now he's sick and dying. Now he's going to shit like that. I've seen shit like that. I mean, you see that shit on all these damn, CSI type shows and shit like that all the time. I mean, it's.
Well, I'm with him on this, and he should never shut up. Never shut up, and always keep speaking the truth. Always keep speaking the truth. Don't matter how many attacks happen on you, keep speaking the truth. Because the only people that are attacking you for speaking truth are already fucked in the head to begin with.
Yeah. And another thing is, too, like I said, you told us, man, you're not allowed to fight back. Okay, so if a woman's coming, even if she is significantly smaller than you, if you stand there and keep letting her hit you, eventually she's going to do some damage, bro. No, I mean, it don't matter how much smaller. I mean, she's not so much smaller that she can't do damage.
Well, people
I
will.
can go up, look, I'm 120 pounds, okay? If I went up to a 300-pound guy, I punch him in the face as hard as I can, right square in the fucking nose, it's still going to fucking hurt. Granted, he's going to beat my ass after that, and nobody's going to come white knighting for me because, I'm smaller than him, he shouldn't hit me, right? If I'm bold enough to punch him in the nose, I get what I get. That's my fault for being a dumbass, right? I mean.
But if you turn that around, and it's a woman, people misconcept that women are always weaker. Well, they're weaker when they picked up the baseball bat and took your head off, huh? Because you didn't know she was standing on the other side of the door, hiding from you when you walked in, and she had the baseball bat, and when your back was turned because you just walked in, didn't know she was there, and you got cold cocked. Oh, it wouldn't hurt, right? Because after all, you're just a guy. Man up and take it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the level of criminality is insane, man. I mean, hell, if a guy goes into a court talking about he'd been raped, man, you know what they do? They'll laugh at him.
Oh, you got that right.
They'll laugh at him. And that's just atrocious, man. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean.
Well, the sad thing
like,
is.
Oh, you should be lucky.
Well, the sad thing is you got people, overseas in some of your other countries, people actually get to own their property over there. Well, they used to. And then that favorite country we're not supposed to boycott. That favorite country we're not allowed to boycott. Well, they'll go ahead and come in and steal your house and your land and hand it off to a Jew. I like that when Zachary was on here last night. Here's a good one for you. I don't know how many people heard this, but I thought I liked it. Okay? Let's think of the 4th of July. Jews lie. The 4th of July.
Yeah.
Did you catch
I'm not going to say all the Jews.
I'm not saying, did I say all the Jews? Did I say all the Jews? No, I didn't.
I'm not saying you did, but.
Okay.
But I mean, you got so many people running around that just want to sit here and say, "Oh, it's all the Jews."
I understand that, but you already know I've said it 1,000 times. It's not all the Jews. I've said it 1,000 times over the years. I just
there are a lot of Jews that are involved in some corrupt, fucked up shit. They need to be called out.
Well, if you get really technical, you'll find out at the very top it's a handful of Jews that are actually running this fucking world. You'll find out that the Holocaust that never happened to the Jews, because the Jews was relocated and it was the Christians that was killed. Yeah, that's actually proven. All you got to do is do a little bit more legwork and you'll find that out.
That's interesting. I knew that the Jews, that a lot of wealthy, influential Jews funded it. I thought that they had pretty much put a bunch of common Jews in there and killed their own people.
Well, not that they haven't killed their own people, but that's not what really took place. What took place was the Jews was relocated. After they were safely relocated, they put Christians in there and killed the Christians. Then they lied to the world.
I know what Henry Makow wrote about. He said that Hitler wasn't against the Zionist Jews. He was only against non-Zionist Jews. Because at that time, prior, now you think about Jews, most Jews are Zionists, right? Well, back then it wasn't a lot of. The majority of Jews were non-Zionist. And the idea was behind the first 2 world wars was to establish the state of Israel. And Hitler, of course, was a puppet towards those goals. To run the Jews off into Israel. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. But from
what I understand, he even had some camp guards that were Jewish.
Oh, I understand that, but I found it hilarious because it's been under your nose the whole time. Every Independence Day, which we call the 4th of July, when you think about it, the 4th of July, Jew and lie. And and it's like right under your nose.
Yeah. The thing, I mean, the thing I get from a lot of you, I mean, I don't know, I haven't really spoken to that many, but from what I've kind of got this impression that a lot of Jews are very tribalistic. Like they're very like they'll side with their own regards to right or wrong over what they call a goyim or a non-Jewish person. A lot of the times,
Well,
they'll try to find a way to rationalize it.
Well, it's not all Jews. Cause see, Jerry's a Jew, and most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And when Jerry caught him out on the Uber shooting up in okay, up there in Michigan, when Jerry lost his house and everything, they run him out of town and literally stole his house and all of his property from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's why for years I told people names and faces, names and faces. Don't worry about if they're a Jew, if they're black, if they're white, if they're yellow, if they're pink. It doesn't matter where they're from. Pay attention to names and faces when you're digging and follow the money.
But what I'm noticing more and more is like when you look at the way things are broke down, right? The social justice warrior and the alt-right, two sides of the same coin, right? If you look at a lot of these like racist minorities on the left, they want to blame everything on the white man, right? If you look at a lot of the white nationalists on the right, they want to blame everything on the Jew. Everything's the white man, everything's the Jew. And I think what part of that is, man, is what it's doing is it's training people to not take personal accountability, to be very tribalistic and with a kind of like a victim sort of mindset where people don't take personal accountability. They even as communities, they pile their problems by blaming someone else rather than fixing their own problems. So it makes them, in a sense, become dependent on big government, dependent on the state. Like they're infantilizing these communities. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's fucked up that it's that way, but that's how it works, man. I mean, I mean, Plato even would write about like the way they had infantilized the public. I mean, that was 4,000 years ago. I mean, people haven't really changed that much.
Well, no, they haven't. The thing is people haven't changed that much, and people still have the same hang-ups they did back then. So not much has changed.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about property, it's a pathetic because if your name is Rockefeller, if your name is Rothschild or J.P. Morgan, you don't have property taxes. You actually own the land and the house. Once you buy it, it's yours.
Yeah.
You'll never pay taxes on it ever. But if you're just a goy, just a freaking a cow, like the rest of us, you have to pay them money for what don't belong to them.
Yeah. And you bear in mind that out of the Abrahamic religions, anyways, both Abrahamic, Islam and Christianity have a root within Judaism. Now you can go further back to that and say all the world religions pretty much have a root within Hindu. But as far as the Western religions go, I mean, they have a more recent root within Judaism.
Well, right here, he just Hickok 458. Read that one right there. He just wrote it, Warren.
Yeah.
They're the bad ones.
Semitic Jews are the bad ones. I grew up with the good and the bad Jews all around me. There's good Jews and ones that need to be executed. The Talmudic faggots. Yeah, I can believe that. I haven't had that much experience with Jews. I mean, I've met a few here and there, but not enough to really get a good perspective on them as a community.
You want a piece of shit Jew? I'll introduce you to a piece of shit Jew. He does live feeds every day on YouTube. He does 4 or 5 of them lots of days. He lives in a $4 million apartment in New York. That's right, $4 million apartment in New York. and he travels to Vegas a lot, travels to California a lot, and does live feeds from these places, and he needs to ask you for donations.
Yeah,
Now, now that's a real piece of shit. The name would be Jason Goodman. Oh, and just one last thing I'll say, and Monty Graff is his bitch. Excuse my language.
Yeah. Yeah, man, a lot of these folks, man, they got agents online, man. They're watching. I mean, somebody you don't even know who the fucking agents are, man. Like, you know, like I said, it could be somebody you don't even think. It could be like somebody commenting on a forum or a goddamn comment section, you know, on YouTube or Facebook or something. You don't even know who they are. I mean, there are signs you can look for. Sometimes they'll give themselves away. I mean, I've called people on my Facebook before that I've picked up as agents. I mean, I have a brief conversation with them, and I've deleted them. You know, without a word, without an explanation, just delete them and block them. Once I find out they're an agent, that's what I do. You know, I mean, you know, this guy was telling me about how I should support Israel and Zionism and globalism and all this shit. Like, I mean, I had this one guy that just blatantly gave himself away. I mean, you know, I'm just like, okay. I mean, the way he was acting was very suspicious, man. I didn't trust him. I just like, you know, bye, see ya. You know.
Well, Jerry's a good man. Jerry means well.
Yeah.
Jerry's honest. He's not going to bullshit you or lie to you. Jerry has a lot of knowledge. Okay, Jerry's constantly looking. You know, and it's just like
Yeah.
Zachary is a good man. The problem is we don't got too many good people out here. And what good people we have, we need to pull together because we need to stand together.
Because we live in such a corrupted society nowadays, man. It's almost like an unwritten rule where good is the new bad and bad is the new good. Because bad is entertaining, bad is exciting, good is boring. That's pretty much the mentality. You know?
Mm-hmm. Lots
I mean,
of
it's
bad
sad.
Jewish
I mean,
characters.
you know, this is how infantile of a society that we bred. But, I mean, really, that's it. I mean, people ain't going to come out and say that, but, I mean, you know,
people fall for the illusion and they think they're free. They fall for the illusion.
Well, they think that they can act however nihilistic and demented they want to, and nothing bad's ever going to come of it. While their actions have no consequences, like they're invincible, right?
Exactly.
And history doesn't apply to them. You know, that's just a conspiracy theory. You know, it's okay that you have a society that's run on a foundation of lies and deceit and fucking dishonesty. You know, there's no way that that's going to end up in failure and collapse. I mean,
well, this country is the target country. This is the country they're going to bring down. And for people who think this country ain't going to fall, they're wrong. You know why this country's going to fall? Because too many people don't want to do anything about it. Too many good people don't want to do a damn thing about it because they're scared. So as long as you go on scared and you're not willing to do anything about it, the evil wins and you lose.
Well, that's kind of like when they say, well, there's nothing you can do to stop it, right? But then you're the same people that want to go vote and want to chase symptoms. But when you try to get to the root of it, oh, you can't do nothing about it, so why worry about it? Well, then why chase the symptoms?
Well, that's exactly it. You know, I said that to MRA I said that to Paul Elam a long time ago with MRA. I nailed MRA all the time. You did a great job of showing us all the symptoms. Now what are you going to do about it? Why don't we look for the root cause? Oh, all I heard was crickets. Crickets. And MRA has hated me immediately. I wasn't tolerated. How dare me look for a root cause?
Yeah, you know. Because that would mean that they have to actually clean up their own act and actually, kind of work in the way that people treat one another. And people across society don't want to do that. Even amongst the so-called awake and the people who are so-called aware with the truth movement and want to tell everybody else about self-reflection, and they haven't done 5 minutes of self-reflection themselves. You hear them all the time. They're making up excuses of, I've heard myself, of, why it's okay to cheat on your partner, why it's okay to run out on your kids, and why it's okay to, drop roofies in someone's drink. I've heard them make up all this shit and make up all these excuses, to defend this kind of behavior. And yet they're talking about how dysfunctional the rest of society is. I mean, they're on some sort of fucking high horse. Well, I got news for those people, man. At least the rest of blue pill society can argue from a point of ignorance. Once you're aware of all this information, you can't claim ignorance no more, bro. You know, you should be held to a higher conduct, a higher standard of behavior. Because once you're aware of the dire situation that our world is in and what we're going through, a light should click off in your head and say, you know what, maybe I need to be resistant against this. Maybe I need to change something about myself, about my part in this, right?
Oh, that's
maybe
it.
I need to change the way I live my life. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, and this is the truth right here, right? When you look at footage of the Holocaust or the Holodome or all these genocides that have happened, right? Your initial reaction to these things is to feel bad for these people, and I do feel bad for a lot of them, man. But here's the thing: there's a lot of them I don't feel bad for. Because let's use our current situation as a mirror to a lot of them, because this is a lot of the same way it's happened down through history. A lot of these people created the same monster that killed them, and you know how they created that monster? Because they didn't give a fuck how they treated their fellow man, because they didn't care whether they were right or wrong. They wanted to be first, right? As Denzel said, they didn't care whether they were right or wrong. They wanted to be first. And everybody was stepping all over everybody and building this big monster until it got out of hand and turned on them. You know, so the tragedy isn't always in how they died. The tragedy was in how they lived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you know,
I mean,
well, you got to realize one thing for sure. Money is the root of all evil. It is literally the root of all evil. And the one thing that people don't understand or don't want to do is we either need to replace the monetary system with our own, or we need to kick these fucking morons' ass and take the monetary system back. But we can't allow it to stay in the hands of the people it's in, because it is the tool that they're using to keep you enslaved.
yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that's the main reason why they introduced money in the first place, because it made the elite's job very easy. Because once it made it easy to get the many to work for the few, as long as they gave them a common medium of exchange that these few control the supply of, right? They convinced these people that it had this objective value, right? They couldn't do that very easily on a trade system when nothing had an objective value. It was up to the people who are making the trade. I'm not saying the trade system couldn't be manipulated and infiltrated. Of course, it was at one point, but it became very difficult to control. It became very hard for the elites to control. That's why they gave us money. It made their job a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that is true.
You know.
That is true. But you're either going to take the monetary system away from the people who have it, or you're going to walk away from their system and stop using their system and create your own. It's not illegal to create currency as long as you're not creating theirs. You can create whatever currency you want if you can get the people to accept it. You know, so if we created our own currency and we could get everybody to accept that and walk away from theirs, you know, that would be a gigantic step for all of us.
Well, here's a thought, Bill. I know one of them never happen because everybody's got their own personal life, but let's just say theoretically, okay? Just say theoretically, if enough of us who are aware of what's going on and wanted to see this, and enough of us got together, right, from offline and gathered in one place and set up a community and said, okay, we're going to start a new life here, and we're going to create our own currency, right, that the government can't control, right? It's not based off of debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about that would happen is we'd have another David Koresh scenario or another Ruby Ridge scenario.
Yeah, well,
You know.
well, you wouldn't, because, you know, if you can get enough people that are armed and ready and enough people doing it, but see, that's just it. You would have to be able to not just create our own currency, but you would have to get enough people, the majority of the people, to walk away from their currency. They wouldn't be able to do a thing about it. There'd be nothing they could do about it if the majority walked away from their money.
mean, all money really is paper, man. That's all it is. It's just paper. I mean, the only reason it has artificial value that we give it, that we allow it to have. I mean, you know, we the people. See, that's the thing. These elites are nothing without their slaves, man. I mean, their slaves prop them up and build them up. Without their slaves, they're nothing, man. They're cowards. It's sad, really, in a way, because the only reason they have power is because their slaves allowed to have that power over them. If we stood up and said, you know, hell no, we're not going to have this, they would have no power. But people ain't going to do that. They haven't done that in 4,000 years.
That's correct. That's correct, because people think they have to have a leader. They have to have somebody to hold their hand.
You know?
That's really what it comes down to. When you have to have a leader, that means you need somebody to hold your hand to walk you through life.
Well, to a certain extent. I mean, you know, I believe that in a small community there'd be delegated officials that could be removed by the masses. I mean, yeah, there would be leaders because I mean, at some level, I mean, it's within our nature to be hierarchical to some degree. You have to be there has to be a system whereby you have to have laws and ways of punishing those laws. And you have to have positions set up. I mean, but I don't believe there should be like any concrete authority that can't be removed that is beyond the grasp of the people. The people should be the ultimate authority.
Well, and you don't need, you do not even need but a quarter of the laws we have. Common sense laws.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, we don't need nearly the amount of laws that we have in our society today. I mean, you have to have some basic laws as far as basic standards of conduct, basic laws and punishments for breaking those laws, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to still have that stuff, but you know, you don't need the majority of the laws we got today could just be totally thrown out. Laws are nothing but man-made rules to begin with. You know, it's like I said on last night's show, and just disgusts me to no end, is when they're making rainwater illegal to collect. There's no human being on the face of this earth that owns rainwater, and the first person who says yes we do needs to be locked up.
Well, wasn't it Jerry was talking about? He had pulled up a report one time he came on talking about how they're going to try to turn water into a scarce resource.
Well, they already are. They already are.
Water.
So what you got to watch for is this: Sandy Crook Elementary School sat on a gigantic aquifer. The community was given grants for that false flag, and then when it was all said and done, the people who want the aquifer now own it. Freemason High School, I mean Fremont, Mason, I had to say that, okay? High school, false flag, sat on an aquifer. One more time, they used it to chase water rights. Just like when they're using, if you go into Colorado, it's not through the whole state, but like Fort Collins, for example, Denver, for example, if you get caught collecting rainwater, you get fined, and if you do it again, you go to jail. And Zachary mentioned a state, I think he said Washington, that it's already a felony to collect rainwater.
Yeah, you know.
And that should tell you something.
That's not even bad enough, man. Like I said, you know, like I said, they use your needs against you, man. I mean, they've already got plans. They use a carbon tax where they'll be able to tax people on the air that they breathe.
Well, yeah, they plan it.
That's no lie.
No, that's not no lie.
That's all going into the greening agenda and this whole new age agenda and all. I mean, which can go along with taking away people's property rights and all this other shit. You know, this whole go green, this new age shit coming in. They're going to drop a carbon tax at some point. They're going to tax people on the air that they breathe.
Yeah.
And this isn't a new tactic. This is a tactic that they've been using down through history, using people's biological needs as a weapon against them. I mean, think about how they've used food as a weapon, right? I mean, people all over the third world, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Africa, parts of Asia, you know, where these people are living and starving, I mean, in abject poverty, and their governments are starving them out in order to maintain power, to keep people desperate, to keep people living in fear, right? It's the same thing they did in you know, the Irish potato famine. You know, I mean, I'm Irish. That was my ancestors. You know, you know, when the British Crown starved them out.
Well, you know, I did a video. You know, this guy here, William Gates, brought up monograph. Okay, anybody that listened to last night's show heard what Zachary told you about monograph. Okay, and I already know that monograph that Monty Graff is an agent. I already know the guy's nothing but, well, basically a bitch for Jason Goodman and the Mossad. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But Monty Graff has a long reach.
Yeah.
Monty Graff has a long reach. I did a video on Monty Graff, and I used Monty Graff's own words out Monty Graff's own mouth. Okay, and it's up on it's up on Facebook. Anybody that goes to my Facebook page, which is my name, all lowercase, and then 122460 behind it, all pushed together, you will find my Facebook page. And if you go on that page, it's open to the public. You can see that video I put together on Monty Graff. And you can hear Monty telling himself with your own ears.
And that's on your Bill 1224601 account?
Yeah, that's on my Facebook account. Yep.
Your Facebook account. Okay, I'll take a look.
You go on Facebook, you'll find it. Okay, I didn't post it up on YouTube because if I post it up on YouTube, Monty will waste no time taking my channel out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to each their own opinion, but I'll tell you what. Monty Graff has some long arms, and Monty Graff is lying to the public. And if you think he ain't spinning the truth, you got another thing coming. That man is spinning the truth.
You got to be very, very cautious of who you interact with nowadays online, because especially in the truth movement, right? Especially when you start discussing like any heavy issues or any real issues, there's going to be agents crawling in the woodworks, man. I mean, you know, I used to post on a truthful, and this is before I was even aware of the manosphere and all that stuff. Back in my truther day, which I'm still a truther, but I mean, you know, I used to post on the forum back in the day, man. We just forum ain't up anymore, but it was called the Outlaw Forum, and this shit was crawling with agents. The guy that ran the forum was an agent. He used to be an anarcho-primitivist, and then he decided to shut that down, and then all of a sudden shut down the forum, and apparently now he's, you know, some crazy neo-Nazi leader or some shit. I mean, just off the drop of a dime. I mean, but...
Well, I would tell Daryl here in the chat, yes, I would, you know, I would just highly prefer that you do a little bit of digging into Monty Graff for yourself. For yourself, okay? I don't expect you to believe anything I'm saying. And if you want to go to my Facebook page and watch the video I put together, you'll get to see Monty say the stuff I'm talking about right out of his own mouth. Be careful of Monty. That's all I'm going to tell you. But go look into him for yourself. But definitely don't attack him up on YouTube or say anything towards him, because you'll find yourself without a channel.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and it's just, you know, you got to go look for yourself, because I've watched Monty Graff for a lot of years. And at one time, I was right where Daryl's at. Okay, I trusted him just like Daryl. Okay, and then I started seeing through him. And the more I seen through him, the more a little bit more disgusted I got. And then I suspected him for a long time. And then I finally did some digging. And then I wasn't coming up with much. And then I do some more digging. And then Monty Graff started slipping up. And that's the reason I took the stuff that I took and I put it up for people to see. You got to be careful of Monty Graff. I know that Monty Graff's got law enforcement in his background. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so does Alex Jones. Alex Jones got family in the FBI. I remember I heard him one time. He got in a fight with somebody. I can't find this video anymore. I wish I could. But he got in a fight with Alex Jones got in a fight with some guy one time, got in an argument, and there he was screaming, "You're going to be sorry. I've got cousins in the FBI," and, you know. And of course, apparently, that didn't seem to shock any of his followers. I mean, you know, that didn't move them any. You know, that tells you how dead they all are. I mean, you know, usually, you know, when somebody claims to speak against the New World Order comes up and says, you know, you better watch out. I got family in the government. That should be a big red flag.
Well, you know, it's
you know.
I understand what he's saying. That's why, you know, myself, I just tell people, I have an old saying that I use. If I suspect something or I'm not sure about something, I call it sitting on a fence. I won't necessarily take somebody's side, period. End of story. I'll look into this stuff for myself. And that's what I tell people to do. Go look for yourself. And then base your decision on what you find or what you see yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm here for the truth and the truth only. And I want what's right for everybody.
I just want to say, as far as the gematria and number crap, I'm not really versed in it, man. But I know I read a little bit about briefly through Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley had wrote about it in some of his old writings before.
Well, you know, I believe
Aleister Crowley, for those that don't know, he was a Luciferian. He was an occultist.
Well, you know, I'm not saying like to this William. He says his sister is a cop. I'm not saying that all police are bad, and I would never say that. I believe we do still have some good law enforcement. But at the same time, you got to understand that law enforcement has been corrupted from the government all the way down. So you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because there are some good cops that mean well, that are doing well for what they mean, and they don't mean any harm on anybody. The problem is the order followers. The order followers are people that don't have morals or don't care. If you get a cop wearing a badge that's only nothing but an order follower, and it doesn't matter how corrupt the order is, they're going to follow it, then that's not a good cop.
Hey, Bill. Hickok wants to call in. You want to drop him the number?
Yeah, I can drop him the number. That ain't no big deal. Okay. I don't know how much time we got left. It's 515-602-9630. That's 515-602-9630.
Right.
He's got a little bit he can call in yet. I mean, we got like 23 minutes, 22 minutes left.
Yeah. You know what, man? I'll drop the number too, in case anybody else wants to call in. I'll drop it in the chat box. That way, in case they haven't got a pen or a paper or whatnot, they don't have to try to. Anybody else wants to call in, y'all can call in too. I'll drop the number. There you go. That's your number. Yeah, Kabbalism is a big part of this too. I mean, I haven't really dove into Kabbalism, but I know like a lot of the Kabbalistic doctrines. That's like what they always say, like the ancient prophets of all the religion, or like the Buddhism, the Christ, and all that stuff. Or the Kabbalism. Of course, Buddha and Christ are just a rank. There have been many Buddhas and Christ. There's even a rank of Buddha Christ within the mysteries. That's what people don't get. But Kabbalism, man, is a whole other thing, man. That's, really, once you understand like language and numbers and if you can figure all that out and the geometry, I think all that ties into Kabbalism, and Kabbalism is the ultimate doctrine behind all this.
Okay, Warren, we have a 612 area code. Go ahead, Jerron.
Hey, how's it going, man? This is Hickok here.
Hey, doing good.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're not
doing good.
Too bad. We're just having our little discussion here. But go ahead and add what you want to add. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You want me to start rattling off something, or what do you guys want to talk about here?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now we were just talking about, what were we talking about? I just done forgot, man. I'm so fucking stoned. We tend to jump from topic to topic a lot because so much stuff is so connected, man. I mean, there's just so many pieces to it. And that's what I say. I mean, like, there's so many people focusing on one little grain of sand on the whole beach, and they dissect the hell out of that one little grain of sand instead of looking at the whole beach. And so it's like I'm trying to explain stuff to them, and like, they overanalyze this one little grain of sand to where it's like I can't. I'm speaking to an analogy here, like. It's hard to get the information out to people because everybody thinks they know everything,
Yeah, it is man. I'm telling you, man, it's pain in the ass trying to tell everybody things. A lot of my friends here. I mean, I've been trying to wake people up since 9/11, and the simplest things like aluminum can't go through steel, and people don't understand it. And kind of like I heard you guys just say that not all cops are bad, but the way I look at it, all cops are bad because they're all working together. They're all one and the same brothers of badges and all that.
Yeah, because the good ones don't hold the bad ones accountable, right? I mean, I feel you on that, man.
Yeah,
you got a lot of that
exactly.
tribalism within various groups, man. I mean, you got with, I mean, I'm not standing up for cops, man, but you got with white nationalists, black nationalists, brown nationalists, Jewish nationalists, Arab nationalists. I mean, a lot of these have this kind of mentality where it's like, you know, they have this code of silence to where
Well,
it's
but
the same with the cops, man, to where they don't.
you know one.
And especially what happened to me here is,
Yeah.
You know what happened. You know what happens. I'm not saying all cops are bad, but the problem is this: when you get good cops, they won't correct the good. They won't correct the wrongs because they're scared of losing the tool, money.
oh yeah, and money's a big part of it.
Well, it's not so much money because cops don't make that much money. What it
but
is
it
more
is the money that
they
you're
do.
living.
They do. Cops,
well, the high rank would do it. It's more about anything. It's authority and power. They have a limited of power to flex their muscle over to common people, even though they have bosses to answer to. But
well, yeah, I understand that, but let him talk, okay?
Just here in Minnesota, police on average here in Minnesota make $55,000 a year, and that's just their salary.
Yeah,
that's just their salary.
That's
not including all the tickets and fees and fines and everything that goes out there. They can have double the amount of their salary in a year easily.
He's correct
so
about
that. That's talking about like chiefs and like high-ranking people and state agents and shit like that.
See, well, I recognize.
Police are making tons of money. It's absolutely insane.
It is.
And what happened to me here, about 4 years ago, they committed multiple felonies to get me convicted of 2 misdemeanors, a DUI and a breathalyzer test refusal that I was absolutely innocent of. I was the only person out late at night, and so they pulled me over, and they just did what they did, committed all these felonies, and thankfully, I was about to write I was about to write a book on it, but thankfully I learned about the numbers from Zach, and now that I've looked at how they screwed me over, they masonically screwed me over by the numbers.
Well,
everything was all
yep, you know something,
and 33, and
yep, you know something. I recognize the area code because I live in Minnesota myself. I even got the same area code on my phone. Okay? So I'm probably not that far off from you. I have a neighbor across the road from me. He's an elderly man. He's a veteran. He was having a stroke, and he was headed to the Veterans Hospital. He got stopped by the cops, who assumed immediately he was drunk while he was busy having a stroke, roughed him up and took him in. He was lucky he even survived.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I found out too is these secret societies are more prevalent than people think they are. They probably don't even think they exist at all, man. But like, I'm gonna tell you how prevalent they are. Even your local B cop, your local cops, they have secret fraternities they go to, bro.
Oh yeah, right here in St. Louis Park. I'll tell you about this real quick. Right across the street from the St. Louis Park Police Department is the biggest, whatever you want to call it there, the Jew fraternity, I guess you could. The biggest Orthodox Jewish synagogue there. And that's the biggest one in all of Minnesota is right across the street from the police department. And if you go right out the back of the police department, not even a quarter mile from there is the Grand Lodge of Minnesota, the Freemason Grand Lodge. So they keep everything all in tight-knit, close quarters there.
It's interesting that a lot of the stuff that gets blamed on white people today. I mean, I'm not saying all of it. A lot of it was actually the Jews. I'm not saying that white people aren't to be held accountable for some of the wrongs that they've done. Yeah, but a lot of it ultimately goes back to the Jews. Like if you look at like a lot of stuff that happened in the early founding of America with the natives and with with them taking slaves and all this shit. A lot of that ultimately goes back to the Jews. The Jews were the main people behind that shit.
Oh yeah, and
You know,
there's so many people out there that get accused and arrested and, you know, end up in prison for something they never even did. I mean, I remember back right when I got my driver's license, get pulled over downtown Minneapolis, and my black friend in the car with me there, we get pulled over, both pulled out of the car. We go, you know, we're both beaten up and slammed on the car and all of that. And they're calling me, oh, you're a wigger and your friend's a nigger and all that, and beating us up. And then, oh, okay, well, we got a call, so we'll just let you guys go. And
I don't doubt it.
That's just one story. I got Asian friends that.
Well, I can tell you a story too, man, because I mean,
yeah,
like, you know, I used to roll with a pretty motley crew back in the day, which was kind of my bad. I was young and naive, but some of these times the police were a lot worse than the people I was running with, man. Like they would plant evidence on people. They would plant shit. I remember one time I had a friend. They planted an 8-ball of Coke on just to put them away.
Oh yeah.
You know. Because they didn't have nothing on them. They wanted to get them, so they said, well, if we can't find nothing on them, we'll make something to arrest them for.
Yeah, exactly. I've been downtown with friends there, and we're not doing anything. We see a whole group of white guys fighting in the street outside. And what happens? Well, all of a sudden we run off, and, yeah, the police, they follow us, and they start beating us up instead of, you know, going to arrest the guys fighting in the street. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know, it really is. I mean, that being said, too, you know, the public, I mean, still have this idea, you know, like, Larkin Rose did a video. This has been several years ago. I'm not saying I completely agree with Larkin Rose. I'm kind of suspicious of him, too. But he did a video a few years ago talking about when is the right time to shoot a cop. And that video, that video got so much hatred, man, and like it's stupid. It tells you how brainwashed and sheep like the public are. It's like if you listen to what he was saying in that video, he's pretty much talking about, okay, when order breaks down and you got to defend your family, and these state agents or these government, these armed thugs are coming into your house and trying to harm your family. Is that not the right time to shoot them? I mean, you know, look, I'm not one to promote violence, but self-defense is a different story. You have a right to defend yourself no matter who it's against.
And when there's armed assailants breaking into your house, shouldn't you have the right to defend yourself and defend your family and all that? I mean, yeah. It's insane what's going on here. Everybody's being brainwashed into thinking that whatever you do is the wrong thing, and just let we, the government, and we, the powers that shouldn't be, control everything. That's what it's about.
And the courts, too. The courts are so crooked, man. The courts are being set to protect criminals now.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's disgusting, man.
Well,
it really is. It's like...
You're under maritime law, Warren.
I could give you horror stories.
Yeah, Warren, but we're under maritime law. You need to understand... The United States isn't on land. We're fucking the same laws you have on a ship out to sea.
I want to tell you what's going to happen right now, okay? Like, let's say I got a gun in my house, right, and it's fully loaded, but I only use it to protect my house, right? I'm going to bed one night, everything's quiet, everybody's going to bed. I'll wake up in the middle of, I'm just giving you a theoretical scenario here. Let's say I wake up in the middle of the night, right? And somebody's trying to break into my house. They're breaking in through my window. Now, all I see is a silhouette, and I see somebody trying to come into my house unannounced. I know they're not supposed to be coming. They're trying to come into my window. What am I going to do? I'm going to grab my gun. I'm going to bust a cap in their ass. They say, well, you have to wait till both feet are inside before you can legally shoot them, right? Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to wait till both feet are inside. I'm going to bust a cap in his ass. And you know what's going to happen? Through some sort of loophole or another, the law is going to look for any way they can find to sit here and say that I was in the wrong because I defended my house, because I shot a criminal that was coming in to harm me and my family. Yeah. You know, they're going to look for some way to say that I was wrong and try to use that to go against you know, gun ownership and shit like that, and say how bad gun ownership is and trying to push this agenda. You know, I mean,
the way it is, the law in Minnesota here is, if somebody breaks into your house, there's 3 things where you could use lethal force there. If somebody's forcing their way into your home, you can use lethal force. If they're obviously stealing something and running from your house, you can use lethal force. Or if they're trying to attack you, you can use lethal force. Well,
But here's the thing: if they're running from you, if they're running away from you, or running away from the house, they'll say you can't use lethal force because they're running away. Which I can somewhat understand that to a point.
But also, like, you know, middle of the night stuff there, like, anybody moving around, like, really, you want to sit there and think about these rules and all that, or do you want to defend yourself and your family? You know, like, okay, is this person coming towards me in an aggressive way, or are they actually just trying to get right out the door to leave, or, you know, how do you know?
Yeah,
That's where it's like, okay, what the hell are these bullshit laws out there for? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
It's like laws to protect criminals, man. I mean, you know, like I said, we live in a society where good is bad and bad is good, and everything's upside down.
Well, the laws.
You know?
Well, I wouldn't say it's out there to protect criminals. I say it's out there to make individuals into criminals, basically.
Yeah, it is. It's to entrap you.
They want to get right behind bars.
It's to entrap you.
And that feeds the system, which feeds their bank accounts.
That's exactly what it is.
They made a South Park episode about that, joking about that. Remember how, like, the kids would use their bodies as weapons, which me and Bill used to speak about that, how, you know, they would teach kids early, you know, that sit there and say, oh, well, my parents molested me when they didn't, you know, just to use that to get their parents locked up. And when you start to think about this, if you're not, think about this for a minute, if you're not nations that's teaching kids, which they already got planned on this, to teach kids at 5 years old how to masturbate, they're sexualizing kids early. If they know that by 5, by the age of 10, they're going to be able to say, wait a minute, if I claim that my parent molested me, even if they didn't, you know, then, I can control my parents, you know. And, I mean, you know, when they used that episode of South Park where they did that and all the parents were locked up and it was like Children of the Corn, you know, I mean.
Oh, yeah, it's never ended with the mocking that goes on in the media. It's unbelievably insane.
You know?
It's like last spring with the NBA women's basketball tournament there, the Gamecocks, but they're called the Ladycocks, and at the same time they're the the whole tranny issue with the bathroom going on. Really?
Well, and think about further how that's going to further depopulation, because if kids are throwing these kind of accusations at parents, right, people are going to be even less likely to want to have kids because they'll feel like their back's against the wall. They're going to feel like it's not worth the risk of having a kid. You know, so there's going to be less people reproducing. I mean, as it stands already, you got more and more men going NIGTO and walking away from the family because things are so stacked against men in our society. You know, the risk outweigh the rewards. Yeah. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, you guys see how it's happened in Japan. In Japan, they call it the herbivore movement. And an interesting factor that I've noticed is within all communities, whether the white, the black, the Asian, whatnot, the women generally turn against their own men, man. Like, if you look at any of these communities, like within the black community, right, the women, Tommy Sotomayor does videos about it, how the women brought down the community. It's the same with the white. You look at feminism, it's all about white women attacking white men, right, and co-opting minorities as their little pets along the way. And then you look at And then you look at, like what's going on in Japan right now. You know, Asian women hate Asian men. And so there's like this out-group preference, which again, I don't have a problem with interracial dating. I don't have a problem with that. But I think there's an agenda behind this, man.
Just like everybody I know, all the women divorcing the men. Exactly.
It is. It's all, it's anymore. It's like the woman's looking for the guy who has what she wants at the time. When she's through using you, she throws you in the garbage can and moves on to her next.
Yeah, but I'm noticing that they have this out-group preference that's built up, like within all races. Like they're all like starting to mud shark and shit. Which again, like I said, I don't want to sound like I have a problem with interracial dating. I don't, but I'm seeing an agenda behind this. It's almost like they're doing it for superficial reasons. Like it's kind of like edgy and exciting because it's out of the norm or whatnot, kind of thing. You know, like. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is. Look around. Look around you.
It's crazy as hell.
Yeah. Well, if you look around you, you'll find a lot of women that have 3 or 4 kids, and the kids will all be by different dads. And she'll be using a system to collect child support from each one of them dads.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of girls I know. They get, 2 kids or 3 kids, whatever, all by different dads, and I think everything going on, it's all a system of design. It's insane.
It is.
It's weird. It really is. Man. I don't mean to sound like I'm shitting on women, But women are given preferential treatment when it comes to scholarships and colleges right now, right? Plus affirmative action on their side, right? And yet, despite all these advantages, right, they're getting incentive to be lazy and to sit here and collect money from the state by spitting out babies. So despite giving all these advantages, it's like I guess there are more women being graduated from college, but I mean, yeah, like I said, it is understandable, but given the situation, because men are being, especially because of how liberal colleges are. If you're a straight white cis male, you'll be last in line to pick up a scholarship.
Well, but what I try to tell people all the time. They got to look for the root causes, because when you start looking for the root causes of the problems between the genders, it's going to take you straight to the top. You're going to find out it's all government, it's all social conditioning, and it's not an accident. It's been deliberately done. Divide and conquer.
Yeah, I know. It really is, man. It really is. And like I said, you gotta look at the fact that women play such a look. Here's the crucial reality of it. Okay, when you look at religions, when you look at race and all this stuff, right? They're all powered they're all being pushed to the left or to the right in this division, right? Women are the only class that are protected on all sides, and men are the only class that are being demonized on all sides.
Actually, looking up on the demonstrator real quick, it's kind of interesting how divorce equals 38, and like murder, death, and kill does also equals 47, one of the big numbers, and masonry and Valentine equals 39, like masonry 39, and 57 like blood sacrifice and Scottish rite, or not like blood sacrifice. 67 is blood sacrifice, not 57. 57 is the Scottish rite there, and then Valentine's Day. 52, and we got Super Bowl 52 coming up, which 52 is government equals 52, and yeah. Valentine's
the
Day.
word government itself.
18th prime.
If you trace back the etymology of the word government, it comes from ancient Greece or ancient Latin, and it translates to mind control.
Yeah, govern, control, and ment is mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy as hell how people, they don't look at the etymology of things here, or even know what etymology really is. And,
I tried to explain it to people before, and they're like, well, let me look up the definition of government. Oh, no, so that's not what it says. It's like, number one, y'all didn't even listen to what I said, man. You got to look up the etymology. How many of y'all fucking so-called skeptics even know what the word etymology even means?
That's what I try to tell everybody. And, look up Trutherapy 3. He puts out some of the best videos out there on etymology, symbology, and everything. And he has, Zach, he's always trying to promote his book, too, here. Behind the Green Door, Christopher Lord. He's selling his book on Amazon, and apparently it's not selling. And Zach has been saying, like, hey, Amazon, they're probably just stealing the money and selling all the copies and taking the cash for themselves.
The thing about our languages we've been taught from the time we were babies is they were designed mathematically, I think, to lock off certain parts of our brain as we grow up and to try to mentally enslave us, because we're taught, your brain develops that way, so you're developing, in a sense, damage in a way, like, I think, maybe in a way. And I'm trying to figure out, like,
look at
what would be
90 seconds.
Zach's on his, 10th channel now, I think it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on his 10th channel now on YouTube, and all since June. Goddamn, it's been like 5 months? And he's on his 10th channel? It's absolutely insane how they're trying to cut everybody down.
That's it.
I think the two most important languages to really decipher the linguistic coding and stuff, in my opinion, would be Latin and Aramaic. Aramaic is ancient Hebrew.
60 seconds.
I'm one strike away. Warren, we're about out of time. And I'm one strike away from losing my main channel. That's the reason I opened the channel I'm on. And that would be my 4th channel gone. Okay, but with that being said, hey, I thank you for calling in. But our time's pretty much out for the night. I will be back here again Thursday night with Warren up on Blog Talk Radio. And then I'll be a live feed up on YouTube and Blog Talk again on Sunday night. So I hope to see everybody here. Thank you, Warren, and thank you.
Hey, I'll be there. Awesome.
Yep.
Good
And
talking to you.
appreciate it, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yep. Y'all take care.
You too. All right, bye.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. 10 seconds.